Just to introduce myself again, I'm Jason. I'm going to be hosting this event. I am one of the program managers for the Foundations program at Av Academy. I'll talk a little bit about Av Academy as well as we go through this presentation, and we're based out of sunny Miami, Florida. So if you could go ahead and post in the comment section. Awesome. I see Elham from San Francisco. That's amazing. So glad that you're able to join us over here. And then if we could get any others to comment in, that'd be awesome, just to see where we're all coming from. So while I go ahead and pull this up. All right, Rhode Island. Awesome. Alvaro from Rhode Island. Great. I'm so glad you guys are here to join for this presentation. And then hopefully we'll get a few more that join as we start going. But let's go ahead and I'll pull up my screen here. All right. So just to all right, perfect. Looks like you're seeing that. Okay. All right. So just to let you guys know, the comment section that you've been using just now to let me know that you're coming from San Francisco, coming from Rhode Island. This is what you can use to communicate throughout the presentation today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section. Otherwise, we can open up, at the end for some Q&A, but feel free to interrupt me. I'll be monitoring this comment section as we go through, just to see if you have any questions that come up during the presentation. But let's go ahead and jump into it and get started. Today, we're going to be talking about get a tech job in under a year. So turn into a tech pro in less time than it takes to perfect your avocado toast recipe. We've got the scoop on how you can fast track your way into a rewarding tech career. So just to briefly run through what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about a career in tech, some challenges, perceptions, opportunities to landing that dream job that you might envision for yourself. We're going to run through it in an agenda that looks something like this. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what is a tech career. Once we kind of understand what a tech career looks like, maybe looks a little bit different than we envisioned, we can talk about how we can break into it. So we'll discuss learning the foundations, getting that real world experience, applying to jobs, and then can you get started today? And all of these 3 steps, you'll see by the end of this presentation, it definitely is something that you can achieve in under a year. So let's keep this in mind as we go through. So to jump into the first part of our agenda here, we're going to talk about what is a career in tech. So let's look at the broader picture and kind of understand what it looks like on something that we can kind of break into in under a year, and how it compares to some of those traditional career paths that we might think about. So a career in tech, how quickly can we join that party? We're going to talk about the speed of breaking into it versus that traditional career path, and is that path to innovation a little bit quicker than you might think it is. So before we dive into the content of this section, I just want to kick things off with a little bit of a quote from a great American philosopher, John Dewey. It says, if we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow. And I love this quote because it helps really frame that mindset of what that tech career is going to look like, right? That traditional Haruka coming from New York. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad you're here. Just as I was saying before, this comment section, you can use it throughout the entire presentation. So please, if you have any questions that come up, feel free to drop them in. I'm going to be monitoring this throughout. Otherwise, we can open it up at the end for some Q&A. But just as I was saying about this quote, I love this here because when we're talking about the tech industry as a whole, it's something that has evolved. Every single year we're coming out with advancements in technology, and the way that we learn, the way that we teach technology has to be different than the way that we've taught traditionally. And this is a great transition into how we're going to compare this entry into a traditional career versus entry into a tech career. When we look at entry into a traditional career, there's some sort of academic requirement, right? Whether it be a partial college degree, an undergrad degree, we're looking at somewhere of 4+ years of that academic requirement in most cases. And then from there, after those 4+ years of gaining that academic requirement, that education, we can then start to jump into that entry-level job. From there, we're going to be looking at climbing that corporate ladder, which could take several years. And then for the next few decades, we're just going to be repeating this until we eventually retire. When we look at tech, right off the bat, we can distinguish that it's not so much an academic requirement as just acquiring those skills, right? And acquiring those skills in tech to get into that entry-level job could really take as quickly as 3 to 6 months. So all you really need to do is acquire the skills that employers are looking for. From there, you can start that entry-level job right after you really start learning. And then once you kind of get into that entry-level job, technology is all about continuous learning, right? You're continuously growing. You're constantly updating your skills. There's advancements in tech almost every single year. If you look at the past decade, how quickly things have changed. So if you were, working as a designer or a developer, year over year, things are changing. New technologies are coming out that are going to require you to sort of learn new skills and learn the way that you do your job. So as you sort of get that entry level job, you're just going to be continuing growing throughout your entire career. And that's where this difference comes between that traditional career path where you're sort of learning one way of doing things, spending a lot of investment and time into gaining this academic requirement and then kind of continuing through that trajectory throughout the rest of your career, versus tech, just jumping in 3 to 6 months and then growing as you sort of, kind of grow your career. So right off the bat, we can see there's just this huge, disconnect between that traditional career versus that entry into tech. And when we look at some of these employment outcomes, this is a study conducted from the bestschools.com .org, where they looked at hiring managers that have hired graduates from that boot camp side or that non-traditional, educational side. And what have we found from this study is that employment outcomes, tech careers have lower entry barriers, faster entry barriers, and similar employment outcomes, right? So 72% of hiring managers have stated that boot camp grads are just as prepared as computer science degree graduates. So somebody that comes out of a boot camp, 72% of hiring managers establish them as just as prepared as somebody that comes out of a 4-year degree. 99% of hiring managers that have hired a candidate from a boot camp said that they would do it again. So nearly 100% of hiring managers that have used the boot camp grad in the past would do it, right over again. And 79% of boot camp graduates are employed after just 180 days. So in under a year, almost 80% of graduates that finish from a boot camp find themselves in that entry-level job, which is just completely, faster track than getting into that entry-level job from those traditional, requirements like undergraduate. And what does this lead to? This leads to a rewards of a career in technology, and a career in tech in under a year, and you can jump into a world of opportunities that you might have been looking for yourself faster than you might have thought, right? The first thing as far as a reward goes is nice paychecks. In tech, we all know that there's a lot of money to be made, and the average salary is about $111,000 in tech right now. It's not just about computers. Tech is about cool ideas, making things better in all kinds of fields, right? In that traditional sense of tech, we might think it's something with the Microsofts and the Apples of the world, but it's kind of evolved to now where it's requiring a more diverse field that can help bring almost every product and application or service that we use today has some form of technology that they're using. So it's not just about computers anymore. It's about making things better and making an impact globally. And lastly, one of the best rewards of a career in technology is that flexibility, where we can work from anywhere without needing that degree. So these are just some of the rewards as we move into sort of learning how to get into this career in tech in under a year. I'd love for you guys to just type in which of these or something else on your mind is a reward that you're looking forward to for a career in tech. Whether it's money, something about making an impact, something about that flexibility, working remotely. I would love to just see as we go along what interests you in that career in tech, and what is one of those rewards that speak most to you. So go ahead and write that in the chat, and I'll keep going on here. So the next The next section of our of what we're going to talk about today is that first step to getting that job in under a year. And what does that entail? That entails learning the foundations. So how do we? Oh, awesome, Alvaro. I'm not sure what if you could clarify LM. I'm not sure what that meant. Elham says innovation and flexibility. I love that. Yep, that's definitely a huge reward, right? Anything that you might be working on is some sort of innovative project that's going to be, taking it to the consumers, and that flexibility is obviously a huge reward of working in tech, right? Being able to work from anywhere, whether you want to go to the office or not, you will have that option. So thanks for sharing. I love that. And we'll continue on this presentation now, and we're going to go into the first step of getting that job in under a year. Personal growth. Thank you for clarifying, Alvaro. Yeah, personal growth is a huge reward, right? You're going to be able to sort of take your career in your own hands and realize that when you do get that entry level tech job, there's going to be many paths that you can take within it. And we'll actually talk about some of those as we go forward. So learning the foundations is going to be that first step. And just another quote that I'm going to throw out there that kind of helps frame what we're going to be talking about going forward. This is from Andrew Miller from the Buck Institute. It says, technology is a simple tool, and we need to remember that. And I love this quote because as we think about tech, sometimes we get a little bit nervous, we get a little bit scared. We're not sure if we can acquire these skills, but in the grand scheme of things, learning technology is the same thing as learning to use any type of tool that we've ever used in the past, right? When you pick up, a hammer for the first time, whether that's part of your trade and you're using it, you're going to just get better and better as you do it, whether it's riding a bike or playing a sport, whatever it is. We're using a tool to complete something, and tech is the same way. Whether you're a designer using a design tool or a coder, writing code, it's just a tool, and the people are what makes that work. And we're going to continue to remember that as we go forward to sort of break down these myths. So building a strong foundation is going to be that journey towards long-term success, right? So imagine, the same thing as a house. You need to lay that foundation to provide that stability, and then everything is going to follow. So mastering the basics, learning the foundation is key to setting the stage for your journey into that long-term success in the tech field. And a couple of different learning paths that we can explore. So different options that sort of shape that digital landscape. Number one is self-directed, right? We've probably heard that before. There's all these self-directed courses and things that we can take online. And this is really for you if you prefer that learning independently and have that good self-discipline. A couple of things you want to watch out for when you're doing that self-directed learning, though, is it does require strong organizational skills, and it may lack that guidance that you truly need to develop that skill set. However, if this is for you, then a couple of resources that you can utilize are YouTube channels, Coursera, Udemy. They all have this sort of information for that self-directed learning. Another option to sort of gaining those skills to get into tech, to get those foundational skills, is mentorship. This is for you if you value that personalized guidance from experienced professionals. A couple things to watch out for, though, some considerations with mentorship is there is limited availability, and prior knowledge may be required to have a mentor, right? A lot of times mentors, if you go out and search for one, they could have their hands full with many other students or mentees. And also sometimes they may not be willing to work with you unless you sort of have that prior knowledge that they can kind of help shape. They might not have the time to be teaching you those foundational skill sets. But if you did want to check out some mentorship options, going on LinkedIn and messaging some people is a great opportunity to find that mentor, or another website called ADP List. A third option for trying to learn those foundational skills are online courses. And this is going to be for you if you enjoy that structured online learning with flexibility, right? You're going to be able to sort of purchase a course or a program and sort of understand a little bit about it, and then kind of take it as you need with that flexibility. There are some things to watch out for, though, some considerations with online courses. It's difficult aligning those courses with your career goals, and the quality can vary, right? The quality of every course we purchase might vary from, course to course. So it's going to be hard to sort of vet that out. And then if you purchase that course, you're getting the entire thing, and you're not really going to have the ability to know what's really aligning with your career goals, right? It can be difficult to sort of take all that information you're learning and really hammer down and figure out which piece of this course is going to apply most to you. With some resources, though, for some online courses, we have Udacity, Coursera, Skillshare, Pluralsight. These are awesome websites you can go to sort of browse some of those online courses. The last item on this list to learning those foundations are boot camps. And boot camps are for you if you seek that quick, hands-on path to becoming job ready. Boot camps are going to teach you the skills that you need to get that entry-level job. And they're always constantly changing and updating their courses to stay up to date with the latest technology and making sure that you graduate with the skills that you need to be able to be job ready. A little bit of things to watch out for with boot camps, though, some considerations is it can be very intensive, and it does require some research and time commitment. You do need to do some research on what the boot camp is going to be about, and you do have to commit yourself to a little bit of a time frame to work through that schedule, right? A couple of resources for boot camps. Av Academy, we offer a UX UI design boot camp. We'll talk about that a little bit later on for UX design. And then another one is Coding Dojo. There's many out there that you can do some research on. But these are just some some learning paths to help you gain those foundational skills. And if any of you have tried any of these, I would love for you to share some insights in the chat. If you've gone on some YouTube channels, if you've purchased some online courses, seeked out a mentor, or if you've considered going into a boot camp or previously did enroll into a boot camp, I would love to hear, any of your thoughts and insights on how that went. Go ahead and post it in the chat. I'm going to keep on going here, but I'll make sure to pause and read what you guys wrote. I would love to just, hear some insights on that. So as we continue going forward, I will advocate a little bit for boot camps here, and there's a reason for that. The bottom line is boot camps are going to help you learn those foundational skills. If you're switching careers, or if you just want to start a tech job fast, then that's where you want to join a boot camp. They're going to teach you hands-on. It's not going to break the bank, and it's likely going to help you land that good paying job within 6 months. Here's a couple of statistics that we've gathered from some online sources around. Boot camps will teach you those basics in anywhere between 2 and 6 months. They're going to focus primarily on those practical skills, making you job ready through hands-on projects. And that's one of the biggest things that you might not get with these online courses or with these self-directed YouTube channels is the ability to work on projects, right? When you open up a course, you're going to get some really good information. You might have some activities here and there, but it's not going to be this full comprehensive project that will help you apply that learning. And they're also very cost effective, right? There are some expensive ones out there, but there are boot camps that run through a variety of different price ranges. I know at Av Academy, we're just under $3,000. So we're one of the, more cost effective ones, but you can find a variety of different price points within these boot camps that aren't going to break the bank. And you'll benefit from those experienced mentors, right? If you go out and try and seek a mentor on your own, it can be pretty difficult. But as you're going through these boot camps, a lot of them employ very experienced mentors within the field that are going to guide you, guide your learning, share those valuable insights, and even help with some networking. And it's really ideal for some career changers for aiming for specific tech jobs, because it's going to offer you that quick immersive learning where you can sort of gain those skills and then utilize that past experience that you have and bring it into a new tech field, right? If you've worked in an industry like healthcare or education or something along those lines, you can use that background and showcase the current tech skills that you've learned and potentially get a job, working for a similar industry. Just because you have that experience and understand that industry, now you have those tech skills that you need to sort of transition into that tech role. But this is why I advocate for boot camps, because they're really going to be there to sort of push you and guide you and get you that skill set as quickly as possible. Just a couple of different roles to think about when you're talking about learning the foundations. These are some roles that sort of shape that digital landscape, and you can find courses and boot camps through all of these. The first one is a data analyst. This is somebody who unlocks those hidden, secrets, those data, that data. They're kind of like detectives who sort of find patterns within customer data or, whatever data the business is looking through. A couple of other ones are developers, right? Developers are those who build that online world. They code. They're sort of like the architects that make applications and websites work. UX designers, which is what we teach at Avocademy. They're the ones who make those apps easy and cool to use. It's no coding required. It's really like if you've ever opened up an application like Uber and you understand how to navigate it very easily and request a ride. The designer is the one making sure that it's a good experience. We've all have had our bad experience with applications and our good experiences. Designers are primarily the ones that are going to guarantee that good experience on that website or application for you. And then lastly, as a product manager, those are the ones who sort of steer that ship and make sure all three of these roles are working together. But to learn the foundations, these are sort of the 4 key roles that shape that digital landscape that you might want to explore for yourself and consider going into. And then from there, you can branch into specializations and things like that. Any thoughts on which one you might be leaning towards? I would love to hear, if you're leaning towards a data analyst or developer, designer, post that in the chat. I would love to hear where you're thinking about potentially going into for your career. And then lastly, on just a little bit of before and after for bootcamp grads, their average salary increase is going to be around 51%. This is a study from Course Report. Course Report's a great website. If you go on there, you're going to find tons and tons of information. They compile information for all the different boot camps and tech opportunities out there. And they really do a great job of laying out the pros and cons of each and pros and cons of careers and things like that. But what they have found through their studies is going through a boot camp, your average salary will increase by 51%. 80% of boot camps, 80% of graduates said they've been employed in a job that requires the skills that they've learned in that boot camp. The average salary is going to be around $70,000, and there's a $24,000 salary lift. Meaning, when you graduate boot camp, if you're working in a job that's $70,000 for your entry level role, within a year, you want to transition to a second job within that field, you will on average get a $24,000 pay raise. In just under a year of entry level work, your average salary will grow about $24,000. So this is what's an amazing thing about, getting that job through boot camps. They're quick. They're going to teach you the skills. They're going to give you a higher salary, and then they're going to set you up for success in just under a year of your, first time working. So that was a little bit about learning the foundations. Next, when we learn the foundations, the next thing that we want to do is gain that real world experience. And this is where we're going to bring that learning to life, right? After you learn the basics, it's like moving from reading a recipe to actually cooking, right? When we've had to attempt at cooking something, we've opened up a recipe, we've looked at what's in it, we understand it, but we haven't actually done it before. And if you do it over and over again, you're just going to get better and better at perfecting that recipe, maybe adding things, adding your own personal flair. It's the same thing when it comes to learning tech. We're connecting those ideas to real life, and we're getting better through projects, right? Doing real thing with your knowledge is what is not only makes you better, but it's going to help you understand how to implement it more. So how do we get that real world experience? There's a couple of different paths that we can take to applying those tech skills, right? The first thing after you gain those foundational skills, one option could be freelancing. This is where you're using your tech skills to sort of do paid tasks for other people. But some things you want to work out for with freelancing is it does require strong self-awareness on what you can do, right? You can't just go out and take on a job for anybody. You still are kind of learning how to implement your skills. So it's going to be hard to balance those freelance jobs with some additional learning that you might need to do on your own. A couple of other options, open source projects are really cool. This is where you sort of help out on tech projects. Anyone can go in there and improve projects within a community of other people. The only problem is these projects lack support and structure and make it difficult to build your confidence, right? If you're new to tech and you go in there and contribute to this open source project, you can go back in the next day and see all of these things have been changed. because you might not have done it right. So somebody went in there and updated what your contribution was, and they don't really tell you why they did that. So that's a little bit of a problem with open source projects. It's good for you to gain some experience in working with others, but if you do something, wrong or a little bit off, there's not always going to be that guidance to help explain what could have gone better. Another option are hackathons. Hackathons are events where people work together intensely on tech projects intended to solve, problems, and sometimes it can be a competition. So they're really fun. The problem with hackathons, if you're sort of just coming out of that foundational skill set, is they're very fast paced, right? So if you're working on a team, especially if it's in a competition, it could be really fast paced. There might not be enough direction for you, and your team members may kind of push you off the side a little bit and try and work towards that goal. But if you have the opportunity to join a hackathon, it's still great to even go and just observe a little bit. And the last thing that you can look at to getting that real world practice are bootcamp client projects. So when you work through a bootcamp and learn those foundational skills, a lot of times there's a secondary offering or there's some sort of opportunity where you can work with a team of other students who have gained those foundational skills and work on projects for real companies. It's applying what you've learned. And the great thing is it's also receiving support from mentors. So you're working on real client projects for businesses, for nonprofits, whatever it might be, for entrepreneurs. You're applying the skill set you learned towards that company, and you have that mentorship support, right? You're working with other foundational students, and mentors are guiding you, helping talk through some of those challenges that you might be coming up with. The only consideration with boot camps, if you're working on real client projects through a boot camp, is it does require commitment of your time, not only to your team, but to your clients, right? Companies that are counting on you to help develop some sort of product for them, that does require commitment of your time. So if you do want to go that boot camp route, just keep that at the forefront, that this is a great experience, but it does require some time commitment. And before we go forward, I just want to share Alvaro's talking about where he's looking for. I can share this comment up here. He's a graphic designer, basic knowledge in web design, but would love to get some knowledge on UI UX design. That's awesome, Alvaro. I will definitely go into that a little bit later on. So I'll go through a whole sort of walkthrough of UX UI design. I'm glad to hear that as someone coming from Av Academy. So thanks for letting me know. And I can provide some more information on that for you shortly. But to go back into getting this real world experience, here's a little bit of how Av Academy can showcase, elevating your employment outcomes. So employers and other boot camps are very similar in this regard as well. But employers value practical experience, right? We know that just learning something isn't going to guarantee you a job. You have to be able to apply those skills and show that you can apply those skills. So what you normally do when you learn those foundational skills, work on some projects, work on some client projects, is you build out this portfolio to tell a compelling story of your journey. And with Av Academy, what we've done in the past with our students that we've kind of elevated their employment outcomes is we've had them work on various projects for various clients, show how they can show their skills and adapt to different client needs. We've been able to showcase that team dynamic, right? Working on multiple projects with multiple teams kind of shows that you can work well with others. And then you also receive that expert guidance, right? You're going to receive valuable mentorship to help you work through those project challenges and improve your learning. And some of our statistics that I can speak to is 95% of students have landed a job working with Av Academy teams. And the average time to landing that job is about 122 days. So if you follow that foundational timeline, you go into that apprenticeship program, work on those client projects, and follow the timelines there, you're going to 95% of our students have landed a job in just 122 days. So pretty amazing what you can do. How you can sort of learn those skills, apply those skills, and then turn around and be seen by a hiring manager to break into tech. Before I go into the last section of this presentation, I just wanted to post this up here. If you guys are on on your computer, you can scan this QR code. If you're on your phones watching, I'm also going to share a link to this, but this is just a quick survey. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We really value any feedback that we can get, your thoughts on this presentation, on tech, just in general. I posted the link in the chat to this survey, and because of our appreciation, if you do fill out this survey, we will send you a coupon for $250 off our foundations course for UX UI design, and I'll go ahead and talk about that course a little bit later on. But please, if you do have the time, I would really appreciate it. We would really appreciate it. Any feedback that you can give us, regarding this presentation. So let's move on to our final section here, right? The last one is start applying to tech jobs, right? So we've learned the foundations. We've gotten that real world experience. We've gotten to apply our foundational learning on real client projects. Now is when we want to start applying to tech jobs. And that is really a 3-step process, right? After you've learned the basics, after you've gained your real world experience, it's time to find a job. You need to prep your portfolio, and I'll walk you through what a portfolio looks like. But this is really a collection of all of your projects that you've worked on. It showcases the skills that you've gained. Yeah, Elham, can you explain more about Career Jumpstart? Let me go ahead and post that up there for everybody to see. Yes, I will get right into Career Jumpstart, and that's actually a great segue, because what we're kind of going through right now is a little bit about how Career Jumpstart works. So awesome for you to sort of pitch this question, and we're going to jump into that in just a minute. So thank you, Elham. But basically, Career Jumpstart is going to help you gain that real world experience, right? Our UI Foundations course is going to teach you the foundations. Career Jumpstart will gain that real world experience. We're going to help you prep those portfolios to show those projects, those skills that you've learned. We're going to give you that interview practice. You're going to work with mentors to walk through some interview practice and get confident in how you can explain your new skills and your new experience, right? It's something that you kind of have just learned. It's a project that you just worked on. So you need to sort of shape up those skills and understand how you can explain it in an interview. And then from there, you're going to look for jobs that match what you can do. And this is sort of that final aspect of getting into a tech job in under a year, right? It's shaping your portfolio and shaping your story of how you can sell yourself as this ideal candidate that can, come in and hit the ground running with the skills that you've learned and the experience that you've learned. And just another way that you can market yourselves and why it's been, why there's been such a high success rate of graduates coming through boot camps and getting a tech job in under a year. It's because the tech job landscape has changed, right? Tech careers go beyond those traditional software companies, right? Now we're in a world where almost every product or service is integrating technology into to their users, right? If you love cars, you can find a job that works with cars in tech, right? If you've come from a background like healthcare or construction or whatever it might be, you can find a tech role within one of those companies within that industry. And that kind of gives you an advantage as well, which is very, very cool because tech is bringing that product to that user. So if you have prior experience in that industry, working within a tech role, you're going to be able to bridge your prior experience with what the users need. And that's the coolest thing about the tech landscape today. That's why it's been so much easier than ever before to break into it in quicker than ever, because almost every product or service out there today is utilizing technology in one way or another. So here's where I'll walk through some of those success stories where I'll talk about our foundations program and talk about Career Jumpstart. And kind of show you what it looks like when you wrap it up together in a portfolio. But this is one of our previous students, Andrew Garcia. Just one of his testimonials. He has, for the most of his adult life, spent it in construction management. He was able to come in, take some autonomy over his schedule because, boot camps do offer a little bit of flexibility as well while you're working through those timelines. That set him up for success. And now he's working for PepsiCo, right? We might know it as that famous brand Pepsi, but they're a lot larger than that. They have many, many brands under their umbrella, and he's working as a product designer. And he was able to transition into that from going through our Foundations and Career Jumpstart program. So pretty cool. This is what that is going to look like. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you all. All right, so here's how our process works. Again, whether you're considering, we're there for UX UI design, but whether you're considering, developing data, data analysis, whatever it might be, there will be similar things out there for you. But for UX UI design, for Avo Academy, this is how we kind of go through that 3-step process that we talked about in the presentation. First step is our foundations program. You're going to learn the basics by going through an 8 to 6 week immersive program with unlimited mentorship to help you build your first design project, your first portfolio piece. You don't need any experience to be able to do that. From there, once you graduate foundations, you'll have the ability to go into our Career Jumpstart program. And your first 3 months into that Career Jumpstart program, you're going to be set up on different project teams where you're applying those skills you learned in foundations and working for real products for small companies, small businesses, and or nonprofit businesses. You're going to work on a team with other designers. And then during those 3 months, as you're working through multiple projects, you're going to be optimizing your resume and your portfolio, adding it to kind of showcase the skills that you're learning, right? Each project, each client that you work for is going to be a little bit different, and it's going to tell a different story about your skills and experience. From there, once you complete that 3-month, experience program, you're going to be able to then start applying and landing those real jobs, right? You're going to get up to 12 months of job search support with unlimited interview prep. Right, you're going to be able to work with mentors. If you have an interview coming up, you can practice your interviews with them. You're going to have connections to hiring partners. We have a great team that's going to help with your job search. And then lastly, it's backed by a job guarantee. So if you follow these steps, right, steps 1 and steps 2, and you go through it and you go into step 3, shaping your resume, your portfolio, your job applications the right way, we're going to guarantee that you're going to get that job. So it is backed by a job guarantee. And our graduates have come out making $85K per year on average. So this is just a great way that we can showcase how you can break into tech in just under a year by going through these programs. To show you what it looks like, are graduates still able to land a job in nowadays market? And I can go ahead and show this up here too. And the answer to that question is absolutely, right? We have, and you'll see this, we have in our community sort of a way for us to celebrate when our graduates are getting jobs, and we're seeing this constantly. We're having people go through our programs and constantly land jobs. There's tons of opportunity out there. I know you might see those, postings about layoffs, here and there, but that is few and far between, because these skills that you learn, while they can get you to land a job in a big corporation, there are so many smaller companies and smaller businesses out there that are growing and starting and needing design help. And now more than ever, do we see this, great opportunity for our graduates to land these jobs, and it's in very diverse fields as well. So, I can assure you that we're seeing it. Haruka says, all right, let's pull this up. I'm working for an art gallery as a liaison. Thank you for my career design. Do I have a chance to get a job after graduation? Yes, absolutely. And that's a great question and great insight, Haruka. I'm really glad you brought this up. Your background, first of all, as an art gallery liaison, is a great great experience for you to kind of transition what your background is into a UX UI design field, right? You have you have that creative thinking, you appreciate the way things look, the visuals of things. As far as your educational background, that's the beauty of tech these days, and why boot camps are seeing so much success, is that hiring managers are caring less and less about those educational backgrounds and more about the skills. Tech is evolving at a faster clip than ever, and boot camps are constantly keeping up with the skills that people need to break into that entry-level role. As long as you have those skills, you're going to be qualified for that entry level role. So you absolutely have a chance. And as I was showing you on one of those previous slides, 95% of our students that follow this 3-step program come out with a job in about 122 days. And that is with a diverse set of backgrounds, right? We've had students that are included in that statistic that have bachelor's degrees. We have had students with associate's degrees, and we've had students that have never even gone to college before. It doesn't matter as long as you're able to tell your story and showcase your work in your portfolio. And that's what I'm going to transition to now, just to kind of show you what that looks like. So one of our students here, this is Marin, and this is what her portfolio looks like. So as you go through foundations, you'll end with, yeah, of course, absolutely. Thank you, Haruka, for bringing that up. After you go through foundations, you will end with one project in your portfolio. And you'll probably see that like right here, right? You can see Sole Designer. This is sort of like a foundations project where you pick a problem, something that, interests you. You might be a hobby. It might be, something just that you notice in every day that you have identified a problem, and we're going to help you research that problem, right? So this was Marin's project in our foundations program. It took about 10 weeks. And what your portfolio does is walks you through, every step of how you built that, right? So this is something, it looks like a travel app. She built something that helps families travel. So you can see she designed the application to fit into, a screen like if you're using an iPhone. And these are some of these, this is what we call high fidelity screens of a prototype, hi-fi screens of a prototype. And then what the portfolio does is walks through every step of the process on how you got there, right? From your research phase, so you can see discovery, talking about interviewing people, mapping out their insights, taking it into ideation, right? You want things to adhere to what your users want. So you start ideating based on what your users want and start thinking of different ideas, user stories, framing things into their mindset, mapping things out, right? How it would work on an application. And then you get into something like this, where you start going through like blueprints almost of what a design can look like, and then you can see you start perfecting it and tailoring it as it goes along, right? This is more of, sketch related. It's very, very low fidelity at the moment. And then as you start to progress through the design process, you start to make it a little bit more official. And then eventually, add some, visuals to it, and you come out with something looking like this. And this is a actual product that you get to test on people and see how it works and make any changes, depending on your test. So this is what you would learn in something like foundations. And then when you work in Career Jumpstart, you'll see the difference here. You now have a portfolio. You can see UX UI designer. This one said Sole Designer. And then this one showcases on a team of 5. And this was for a company, Socially Immersed. She worked for on her Career Jumpstart program. And you can see the overview. It's a platform that encourages local humanitarian participation. And you could see that she was a designer on a team of 5, the tools, the duration of the project. And then you could see even what's really cool about this in the portfolio is you get to talk about that client kickoff, right? So you get to showcase that you were able to meet with the client. You talk to them about what vision they had in mind, what goals that they were trying to achieve. Did they conduct any research previously? Are there any brands that they're inspired by? You kind of gain this information from the client in the beginning, and then you start going through the rest of that project. And then you can see, you can kind of tell that story in your portfolio here. And as you keep going through, the same thing as what we're showcasing before with the solo work, you're showcasing it on a team, and then eventually you get to these designs where you showcase what you designed. And then one thing that you'll notice here, which is really cool, it's called Dev Handoff. This is where you actually take. Oops, sorry about that. Let me find that again. This is where you actually take your designs and hand it off to the development team and showcase how you would annotate what you designed and annotate what you found through your research as a team to actually be developed into a real life product. So this again is just another example of what you would do in Career Jumpstart, right? That foundational project is going to be something of your own. And then in Career Jumpstart, you're going to have multiple projects where you're working on teams. And then from there, you can start applying to jobs, updating your resume, updating your portfolio, getting that interview practice, and landing that job in tech in under a year. It's definitely doable. So, I hope this, helped answer any questions that you might have had when it comes to, App Academy, UX design, or even just tech in general. What we would love for you guys to do is schedule a career advisor call. This is totally an open call for you to join and discuss any thoughts or questions that you might have, and our career advisors will be more than happy to talk you through it, right? Even if you're not interested in UX UI design, right? If you had something else in mind that you might have been thinking about, but just want to understand, what a boot camp is like, call them. And even, you never know, UX design might even speak to you a little bit more than you think it would. It's a great choice for transitioning into tech. It's one of the top jobs out there, one of the most popular jobs out there, constantly getting rated in the top 5 on, Indeed's, hiring lists and things like that. So this might be something for you if it's something that you weren't previously considering, but our career advisors will be able to talk you through our programs, talk you through what a day in and day out looks like in the program, and what day in and day out looks like within, the job itself. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, look at our LinkedIn, go to our website. You can email us at info@appacademy. We're more than happy to talk to you and answer any questions. To schedule that call, you can scan this QR code here, or what I can also do if you're on your phones is I can share a link in the chat that will take you to that page. So feel free to use this link. And again, if you are interested in scheduling a call, maybe interested in exploring the program, fill out that survey. I'll go ahead and post it one more time, that feedback survey, because you will get a discount for the program as well. Before we wrap up, that's all I got for you guys today. Is there any questions that I can help answer before we close out? You've been awesome. I really appreciate all of your participation. It's so great when we're able to interact and answer questions and even just hear your insights, right? I know now some of you are interested in UX design. I know a little bit about your background, and it's really exciting to be able to to connect with you guys and hopefully provide some information that you're looking to learn. But before we close out, I'm going to give you guys another minute or two. Feel free to write any questions you have in there, and I'll hang tight for a little bit, and then if not, we'll end the session. All right. Looks like no more questions. All right. So then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Again, I appreciate your participation. If any questions come up, you can go ahead and email us, or you can go ahead and schedule that call. We're more than happy to help you out. But thank you all so much for joining. I hope you come away knowing that you can achieve that tech role. You can transition into tech in under a year. It's absolutely possible. So thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your night. And we look forward to connecting with you guys in the future. Take care.